Welcome back. This is episode 13 of Trials Talk podcast, or well, 12 plus one, I suppose, if you're superstitious. Um, as you can see tonight, it's just myself. Everybody else is otherwise engaged, but we have been joined by Billy Green, 2023 Trial 2 World Champion. So that is, well, firstly, Billy, congratulations. Amazing, amazing achievement. You kept us all sort of on the edge of our seats there with that one. Um, I mean, 23 has been a pretty good year for you, obviously. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. What I want to find out is um, how how you got started, when, all that sort of good stuff. So if you can give us just a quick sort of intro into how you got into trials,
Yeah, yeah.
we'll get to the good stuff in a bit.
Okay. No worries. Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks for having me on this evening.
No problem.
I've seen you've been doing a few of these recently, and it's nice to see someone putting something back into trials in a different way and trying to grow the sport, which I'm a fan of as well. I
No, that's what
do
we're
some
trying
of
to do.
my own YouTube videos and stuff, trying to get the sport out there. So it's nice to see someone else doing the same thing.
Thank you.
No, so yeah, well, trials for me, it's all I've known. My granddad rode back in whenever it was his days, but it wasn't obviously really that competitive. My dad done a bit of enduro, then come back to trials just before I come around. And from as long as I can remember, going to club trials. My dad wasn't anything special. He finished the 6 days in Scotland once, and that was him sort of done. That's his trials career peaked. So he spent a lot of time focusing on me. I used to go to the trials when I was younger. He'd take me round. I'd go sit on the front of his bike and I'd walk sections with him. Then I'd ride on his bike between sections. Also, when I was old enough, started at a little Suzuki quad to start with, then onto Suzuki like 50, little sort of pit bike type thing, and then Gas 50. And then when I got that, started doing some local sort of trials. And then there happened to be a local British Championship, Youth British Championship. We sort of entered it and didn't really know what we were doing. Like I said, my dad hadn't done any nationals, he hadn't done any S3s or anything. He'd just gone and done the 6 days, and that was his real experience with doing higher level events. So we entered that, and I come fourth, and we were like, "Oh, wow, that was a bit unexpected." So the next year, we thought, "Well, we'll go and do the whole championship." And ended up winning, which was amazing.
And what was it?
I
Was that what level was that? Was that youth B or C?
Youth D,
Youth
Youth D.
D.
So back on Gas 50 boys before all the like
Right.
electric Ossett bikes come round.
Right.
So yeah, one of the what was it? Like a 2-speed automatic sort of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, proper bike. So yeah, grew up doing that, and obviously at this time as well, I was just a massive fan of the sport. Was always be watching trials DVDs, trials review DVDs, magazines, all of this thing, and always sort of wanted to do my best, but didn't really think of myself as being like a world rider sort of thing, riding the world championship. So we went back the next year on a Beta 80 medium wheel, and then as it sort of happened, well, as basically my youth career going through, I would say I managed to win every class that I went up to. So it was the D class small wheel, C class, D class medium wheel, C class medium wheel, C class standard wheel, B class, and going up through, I won all the national championships. And then when we sort of got to B class, so what was I, 13, 14, we thought, oh, well, maybe we'll have a look at going abroad and doing a European championship.
Yeah.
So in 2016, me, mum, and dad went away and done my first European in Italy, and then I think I come third at that one. So that was like, cool. This is yes, all right. Yeah, I can try and
I can read a bit.
push for some results, sort of thing. And then we actually ended up missing the middle rounds in that championship because of one thing or another. But then went to the last one. I think I finished fourth or fifth in Germany. but actually happened to be that year was the World Round in Tong, Great British round of the World Championship, and we hadn't thought about going to it, but Roger, a local guy from my club, was like, "You should go and do it," and basically paid for my entry and said, "Look, we're going to do it," and turned up there literally not really expecting anything because it was a World Championship, and then had a third and a second. So from that, it was like, well, maybe next year we should be doing the World Championship, not the Europeans. So it's basically sort of snowballed from there, kind of thing.
And that was Tong. Was that what, about 2016, something like that?
Yeah, 2016.
2016, yeah.
So that was my first ever World Championship. So yeah, so then from 2017, I've been doing the World Championship ever since. So I think that's 7 years I've been doing the World Championship now. So it feels like a long time. But yeah, did the World Championship on the 125 class, come second my first year, then won it in my second year. So obviously that was amazing. And then the big step up to the Trial 2 class. And the first couple of years on the RG Montesa were a bit tricky for me, managing my A levels and trials.
Right.
Trying to get that balance wasn't so easy. And then the jump to Scorpa in 2021 sort of saw that my big jump in results. And then 22 another progression of results, and finished fourth in the championship. And then obviously this year we've then jumped forward a couple more spaces, and we've arrived at number one spot. Is a quick whistle stop tour of my journey to where I am now, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose your first sort of big signing, if you like, would have been to the RG trial team.
Yeah. So when I was with Beta, when I won the 125 World Championship, John Lampkin was very good, and he got us like a support package from the factory. Although we were Beta UK riders, we got a bit of help from the factory. But yeah, my then sort of big jump was to the satellite RG team in 2019.
Yeah, always liked that setup. Always thought he ran a really good team there. It was a bit of a shame whenever he sort of decided to finish doing that.
Yeah, no, Rudy was spot on. He you couldn't meet a friendlier bloke around the paddock.
Yeah.
He the team, he treated you like you were a family. He looked after you ever so well. The setup was spot on. So yeah, it was a move that I felt obviously was going to benefit me. And yeah, it was two really good years for the team. Although the results didn't maybe show that, I definitely learned a lot the 2 years I was with him.
Yeah. No, he was a really nice guy, and he ran a really professional setup there. It was a shame, as I say, that he decided not to continue. So that brings us up to this year. Obviously, on the new fuel injected new Scorpa model. It's been a pretty good year, I reckon, for you. Obviously, so ended up third in the British Championship.
Yeah.
Won the Trial2 World Championship, obviously, but second in Scotland. Probably should have won the Scott Trial and X Trial debut. I mean, somebody handed you all that at the start of the year, you'd probably have said, "Yeah, I'll take it."
Definitely, yeah. No, it's been an amazing year. To be fair, it's so many opportunities, and so many good results, and it's been a great blast along the way. To be fair,
yeah. So I mean, if we start off with the British Championship, I mean, I still find it quite hard to believe. I think we said it on a couple of the other episodes that this year was the first year you'd won a trial GB in the top class.
Yeah, no, I don't quite know what it is, but there's always something that I felt like I've lacked and missed at a British Championship that for some reason I'm able to find at a World Championship. And like I say, I've always felt like I've had the potential and ability to win. It's just being able to put it together on the day at a British Championship. But yes, was it? I think it was round 6 at Brimham Rocks. Yeah. Like I say, I didn't even think I'd had that good a day, results wise.
No, and you properly won it. I mean, it wasn't just you didn't just sneak it. It was it was
No,
quite
yeah,
convincing win.
definitely, yeah. Because I think I was the first rider to finish in the GB class, and my minder Ant and my girlfriend Jazz come over to me and they're like, "We think you've won," and I'm like, what are you on about? I was like, no one else even finished. So like they haven't even got their third lap scores in yet. I was like, what are you on about? And they're like, you had like a big enough gap after the second lap that with what you've dropped on the third lap, we worked out that we think you've like most got a very good chance of winning. And I was over the moon.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a similar. I mean, I know you practice at that. What do you call it? Where the West of England trial is usually had that sort of foresty, rocky type going.
Oh, Kelly Farm.
Yeah. Is
No,
it
I don't actually practice there. It's very
no?
close to there, so it
Right.
probably looks
It's
similar.
similar looking.
Um,
Yeah. And I think
yes,
that
yeah,
Brimham Rocks is quite a similar
yeah. It's
style
not a
of or look
bad
of sections.
observation. Yeah, sort of the peaty soil and the greasy, granity sort of rocks. It's
Yeah.
that's mostly what I practice on.
That must be what. Yeah. That's what helped out, maybe, or maybe it was just one of those days where everything was going right.
Yeah.
Um,
You'll put it down to one of the two.
um, so you touched on it slightly there. And I think when we had Jack Peace on in a couple of episodes earlier, I think we asked him, does he prepare differently for the British and the world, obviously with the different rules? Do you practice differently? Do you? I mean, in the run up
Uh,
to the British Championship, do you
to,
specifically practice stop allowed and vice versa?
to be honest, I mainly well, I mainly practice stop allowed. I don't really follow any sort of structured training regime at all. I just ride my bike as much as I can. Any opportunity I get to ride a bike is, I just take it basically. Um, but yeah, I mainly practice stop allowed, and then when it comes to doing a non-stop trial, I will probably do I don't know an hour of just practicing a bit of flowing riding.
Yeah. And then I suppose that sort of would lead in. Then obviously Scotland's a different sort of thing altogether.
Yeah.
Where about
Well,
where
actually,
where do you
sorry.
practice down your part of the world for that?
Well, that's one thing I was going to say. Actually, growing up, I um, rode pretty much all non-stop trials, practice, whatever. I've never really been one of those people to practice and I'd stop. So I think just growing up, it's naturally been in me to ride non-stop, which could be one of the reasons why I prefer the World Championship to the British Championship, because obviously the World Championship's non-stop.
Yeah,
So whether
allegedly.
that's yeah, well, yeah, can't stop for too long.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, whether that's one of the things that, just like I say, it's ingrained in me growing up to ride non-stop. I don't know, but as for Scotland, like I say, growing up, I'm very lucky. Being in Devon, you've got Dartmoor, and then uh, up north Devon and into Somerset, you've got Exmoor. So quite a lot of natural venues with a lot of streams and everything. So like I say, I've had a lot of practice growing up riding those sort of things. But yeah, to be honest, I don't think I've found anywhere, even riding up in the Lake District near where um, Nigel Burkitt's based, I can really find anything that replicates what the streams in Scotland are like, or rivers, should I say. There's
very
just,
difficult.
yeah, the rocks are just much bigger, rounder. Um, yeah, there's not much I've found to replicate it.
Yeah, I mean we have a couple of places here, but you're not allowed to ride there. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's the end
That's
of
that's
that.
the one trouble as well, is
Yeah,
actually finding places obviously to
yeah.
go practice in.
So obviously, pretty good week in Scotland. Um, went into the last day. Was it tied for the lead, or no? You were actually leading, I think, were you?
No, we were tied for the lead. So
Tied
yeah,
for the
obviously this year in Scotland, I was number 36. So my early day was the first day, so
day one.
technically sort of on the, I would say, back foot to start with, but obviously it all levels itself out in the end. Obviously, yeah, I had my early day first, so sort of spent the week, so I would say catching up, and then yeah, like you say, going into Saturday. got to put the yellow number board on the bike Saturday morning, which was an amazing feeling. But me and Dougie were, I think, on the same, was drawing on 6 marks. Then I ended up having 2 on the Saturday, which ended up just splitting us apart on the final day, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I know we sort of said this to Jack as well, whenever, because last year his early day was just a really unfortunate day to be early. It rained all night, and it was just horrendous.
Mm.
And sort of, at what point, at what point do you realize, oh, I think I've just thrown it away? Or, obviously you put your first dab down on Saturday and you've thought, oh no.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, like, for anyone who has done the Scottish 6 days, it is a really long week, and especially this year, the Tuesday was an especially long and hard day,
Yeah.
so it didn't make it easy. And I think for me, like, knowing that I've got to do 6 days riding, and basically I'm trying to go round for clean, it's a massive um, mental game,
Yeah.
really.
And
Got to go into every section knowing or trying to clean it. Um, so yeah, on the early day to come out with 2 marks, I was over the moon with, because it was well, like I said, not a very, what am I trying to say? Not a very big score to come away
yeah,
from your early day, because
yeah,
there was a
no, it
few
was,
slippery hard sections that we did,
yeah,
which you scrub them as best you can, but it's still not the same as having the 30-40 bikes in front of you. So yeah, no, it was going well. I was just trying to enjoy it. Luckily, I had a few people around me that I knew, so we could have a bit of a laugh around the week, and enjoy it, and sort of take some of the pressure off.
yeah. I
But
think it
yeah,
helps to sort of keep you grounded a bit, sort of.
definitely, just enjoy it, and not focus too much on the little bits. But yeah, on the Saturday, it was at Ben. I think it was Ben Nevis, or one of the last 3 groups
Yeah, I
on
think he had a
Ben
dab up.
Nevis.
Was it the second section, first
Mm.
section, maybe in Ben Nevis? Quite a tricky wee
Could
one.
have been. Yeah, obviously the Saturday was our second early day,
Yeah,
so obviously getting to those sections, especially as they're always usually a bit tight for time, we were fairly near the front of the field, so they were a bit slippery. The lines hadn't developed as well, and just as you can do, it's got you catch one rock and it kicks you offline, and the foot goes down.
yeah. I mean, it blows my mind. Having done it a few times myself, to even comprehend what it must be like, as you say, basically to ride into every section thinking, I've got to clean this. I mean, for a rider at my level, and which is like the majority of the entry, it's just it's mind blowing. I mean, the level of concentration that you must have to maintain
Yeah.
over the course of the week, and as you say, I mean, Tuesday was a pretty brutal day.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Wednesday,
I went
Wednesday
onto
wasn't
those.
much better.
No, definitely no. I maybe say I was a bit over enthusiastic on the Tuesday, and went across the moors at quite a fast pace, like enjoying it. And I come off the first moors and thought, oh yeah, that was good. And then I got halfway across the second moors, and my back started to hurt, and I was like, yeah, I was maybe a bit keen on this one.
What am I doing here?
Yeah,
Start
yeah.
all
Well,
those
no,
thoughts start going through your head.
no. To be fair, that wasn't. That was more the Scott trial this year that I was thinking that, not Scotland.
Yeah, yeah. Right. Okay. Right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's move on to the Scot then. I want to leave the World Championship to the end, so we'll move on to the Scot trial.
Yeah.
Slight issue with petrol tank volume, it would appear, or was it just too much throttle?
Uh, what actually was, I don't know. It could have been, there was. It felt like there was a bit extra this year in the Scott trial, where you could keep the bike obviously pinned, and obviously I'm going for the win. You're going as fast as you can where you can, and on sections of field and track where you can open it up and make up time. Obviously, I was going for it. So yeah, is whether it was because we got a slightly smaller tank on the bike this year, I don't know. Whether I was riding a bit too hard, again, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, it wasn't so fun pushing up that
No.
final field to the end. Especially as I'd just overtaken a few people, and then you've run out of fuel and they're passing you back. It's like, so yeah. But as well for the Scott Trial this year, I didn't actually have much practice coming into it. I had done 2 days of training for it, which was on the Tuesday and the Thursday of that week. So obviously a bit last minute, which for that event, really, you need to be doing a few weeks of training, putting in the hours, doing some long days riding, so that when you get halfway around, you're still feeling fresh. Whereas I was getting halfway around thinking, what on earth am I doing here? Everything hurt. I was starting to cramp up. It was like,
Yeah.
I should have done some more practice.
Blisters have all burst, and oh, it's just, yeah, nightmare.
Yeah, not so fun.
But still, good enough day. Good
Yeah,
enough
no,
result.
definitely.
All things considered, could have been a lot.
Yeah, all
Could have been
things
a lot worse.
considered, definitely. Yeah, there's so many things that can happen at the Scott Trial. Again, it's one thing I say to some of my friends locally. I'm like, there's 2 trials you're ever just going to go to experience. Go and do the 6 days and the Scott Trial. Just so when people talk about them, you can go, yeah, I've had a go, and it is. Because I don't think you can appreciate how far you actually travel on a bike in one day in either of the events,
Yeah.
especially the Scott Trial, as you are entirely off road and you're doing, I think it was 85 miles,
Something like
85 to
that.
90
Yeah,
miles,
I think
somewhere in there.
George Gosden put his Strava thing up there. I think it was 86 miles or something.
Yeah,
Which is, yeah, and as you say, it's all off road. Or
yeah,
you might get a bit of a field some every now and
yeah. A
again and a
couple of
bit of a track,
fields, yeah, a bit of gravel track, but
but
there's
there's not much
a lot
rest.
of no, no, like you say, and it's yeah, an intense day on the body.
Yeah, yeah, it's brutal. It is brutal. Right. Okay. Let's talk about this Trial 2 World Championship then.
Hmm.
Started out pretty steady, then went to Portugal, 2 wins. Again, fairly steady throughout the remainder of the season.
Yeah.
Another little win just before the end, and then what happened on that Saturday at the final round?
Well,
Talk us through the whole
as
thing.
for anyone,
What was going through your mind throughout the year? I mean, were you thinking, "Oh, I've got a chance at this," and then what sort of pressure does that put on you?
well, obviously the previous season I came fourth in the championship. I had been third in the championship for a fair amount of the season, so I was aiming to be in the top three really, because for anyone who follows Trials 2 in the World Championship, they know how competitive it is. Like you're just saying, on the last or second to last day of the season, I was finished in 17th place. Not that I did too much wrong, but you do something wrong and you're down the batting order. But yeah, basically coming into the season, obviously with a new bike, which unfortunately I did um, receive a little bit later into the season than I would have liked. So preparation was minimal on the new bike. I sort of just didn't have any expectations. Just thought, I've done what I've done. There's not much else I can do now. It's just go and enjoy it and see what I can do. So yeah, to go to it was Spain the first round and have a fifth and a second
Yeah,
was
did look that up earlier.
I'd say yeah, it did fill me with a bit of confidence because to be up and around the top five, if you can consistently be up around there, you're doing fairly well because there's not many bad riders. I mean, there's not any bad riders in Trial 2, So it's just it's little bits that you're gaining um, in all the sections. So yeah, to go to Portugal and have a double win. To be honest, I don't even really know where it came from. Um, it, the only way I can describe it is it kind of felt easy. Why? I'm not really sure, but just one of those days, just hit my marks. Couldn't really seem to do much wrong, and obviously I was, yeah, rewarded with 2 wins there. And then we're off to Japan. And that was actually one of the harder rounds this year because we had a lot of overnight rain on the Friday, and with it being quite sort of steep bankings over there, they became very greasy, which actually made for quite a good trial. And I think I had a fourth and a second there.
Fourth and second,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I think I don't know if I was joint points for the win on day two, but lost out on most ones or fastest
Something like
time or
that.
something.
Yeah.
Something like that. So yeah, again, it's like such little things which just separate the positions. And then where were we off to? San Marino. Had a bit of a wobbly day on the start of San Marino because at this point I was leading the championship as well. So on the Saturday of an event, if you're leading the championship, you basically start at the back. So obviously that puts you at technically an advantage because you get to watch everyone's sections at like the most um, ridden stage that it can be, so it should be better. And I thought the sections would develop more, and because it was in a river, I thought they'd get grippier, but I think it actually got worse the more it was ridden. So I sort of got there on day one, and it was kind of like, oh, what's happened here? I wasn't quite ready for it. So I had eighth place on day one, and then managed to sort myself out a bit
Yeah.
and dig deep for day two and had a third. So to be able to be on a podium on like a should we say bad weekend is always a good.
And that's kind of what I was thinking there. When I mean, you sort of said it there. You when you're leading the championship, you basically you start last in the
Yeah,
class. Do you think that's an advantage? I've never really seen that myself.
it it
I think
doesn't
it
it
puts more
doesn't.
pressure on you.
Well, yeah, there is that. So with well, when I carry on explaining, then you'll sort of you'll find out that I think on certain trials it can make a difference because if it's like say loose on the top, it digs down and it clears out and a line forms and it's better. Some trials don't change at all. Some trials, like I say, get worse. And then it's also that thing now where if I'm starting last, I'd say I've got Pablo Suarez, Jack Peace, or Sondre Haga right there with me. So you've got your main championship rivals all there together. So it can be a bit of a mind game sort of thing of like, oh, they're watching me or whatnot. So yourself that like, okay, I'm starting last the championship lead, got to have a good day sort of thing, and it's trying to take that pressure off, which can almost be if you have a bit of a wobbly result on the Saturday, it can be a bit nice on the Sunday because it's like, right, okay, I've had a bad day, can't really do much worse. Let's go back and try again. Let's have a better result, which kind of happened at the last three rounds, should we say? Because in Andorra, I had was it? I want to say
Sixth,
sixth and a second.
yeah, sixth and a second, yeah.
Yeah, which again, Andorra was quite an easy trial. It wasn't high scoring. You make a little mistake, and you're right down the batting order. So to pull it back on the Sunday and have a better result is always a good feeling. And then Italy again, fairly steady trial. Saturday I was fifth. Had a couple little mistakes. You just make one mistake, you have a five. And on the Sunday I did manage to get my um, third win of the season, which again to win in that class is an amazing feeling. Like I say, there's so many good riders there. To come out on top is awesome. And then yeah, the final round in France where nothing seemed to go really right that day. Um, Obviously, I started off last on the Saturday, like we were saying, being leading the championship. There was a massive queue at section one, and I think if I can remember right, we spent 20 minutes at section one before obviously then we actually got going into the lap. So I think I think it's 2 hours 45 for your first lap. So we've got a decent chunk of that gone already, and then the actual lap of the trial in France was quite big anyway. So I think it was 12.5 kilometers. So it's a decent sized lap. And then like we were sort of queuing all day because, like I say, I'm at the back of the field, and everyone's sort of waiting round, make sure the section's right, taking their time. And then as it happened on the second lap, there was a section that got cancelled because there was a loose rock, and then ended up, obviously the section was missing. There was a queue of, I'd probably say, half of the Trial 2 field there. And then as the women GP riders caught up with us, they obviously thought, I'm not sitting in that queue. And they ended up jumping our section, or jumping the queue, taking a 5 and getting in front of us. So then basically what happened to me is I ended up being stuck right at the back, which, going back to what you were saying, starting actually at the back, I think didn't help me on the Saturday, because it's then put me like behind everyone, and it was really tight on time.
Yeah.
And as well, I just wasn't riding that great. I obviously, I wasn't thinking about the championship, but I'm guessing subconsciously it was there. It's a big title I'm going for, sort of thing, and it's there on the line that weekend.
Yeah, and I always find too, if you're sitting in queues all the time, it's difficult to get into any sort of a flow or any sort of a rhythm.
Yeah, you've got too much time to think about things.
Yeah, it's never good. Never
No,
good.
but obviously then on the Saturday night, I was like, I didn't want to speak to anyone. I didn't acknowledge anyone. I I just shut myself in the bedroom and just was like, nah, forget about that. And then obviously on the Sunday, I hadn't looked at any of the championship points. I didn't know where I was. I didn't even know if it was mathematically possible for me to still win the championship. Um, I just thought, well, there's not much I can change now. I've just got to go back out on Sunday, do my best, and that's all I can do. And Sunday was quite eventful as well. I started quite, or middle of the pack, shall we say, away from most of my championship competitors. So I was able to get a bit more rhythm going on around the trial. Wasn't so much queuing, and a bit better riding. Like I say, I wasn't riding massively different on the Saturday. I didn't actually ride that badly because I was only 10 marks away from the podium, which,
Yeah,
to finish 17th
I know.
sounds
It's
bad,
crazy.
but to be 10 marks away from the podium doesn't sound bad at all. So, like I say, it's very tight again. But yeah, on the Sunday, riding all right, not amazingly, but not badly. Um, and as it happened, Pablo Suarez, who's one of the main championship rivals, I think, was having an issue with dislocating his shoulder. So,
Right?
unfortunate injury. But obviously, like you say, anything can happen. So yeah, I saw that at the lunch break. He was having some difficulties, which is like, oh, like, what's going on? At that point, I'm thinking, well, obviously he's not going to be riding at 100%. Can I sort of start to pull this back now? Um, and then on the second lap, middle of the lap, I had a big old crash. Bent the handlebars, fork brace was twisted, front brake master cylinder was broken off the bike, and James and I, my minder, were frantically swapping everything off of the minder's bike. We were quite tight on time as well, to be fair again, and ended up then rushing sort of the second half of the lap. Some of the sections I did without him because he ended up being behind me, so I was just riding it, and then come back down into the finish area. And the last section of the day wasn't actually that easy. It was quite a big section, and
Yeah.
some awkwardly spaced concrete blocks. And like I say, I managed to do all of the blocks, jumped out over the last step, and there's this big group of people at the end of the section, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, guessing that means I've won the championship, because I'm guessing there'd be a big group of people there, and I sort of jumped out the section, and I'm like, okay, turned around to see James running over cheering, and I was like, oh, guess that means I've won then. Um, so yeah, no, it was a mega feeling to take it right down to basically the last section of the
Yeah.
final day of the final round of the championship.
Yeah. I mean, I think I said to you the last British round there, I was watching the live scores on on the Trial GP website, and then they stopped updating about halfway
Yeah,
through
yeah,
the last lap, and I was like, "What's going on?" Um, and then they updated again, and I was messaging Danny, who was doing the commentary,
yeah,
and I said, I think Billy is about to win the championship. So he was like, right, keep me up to date. But then there was two people in between you and Pablo who hadn't ridden a couple of sections, and if they had five those sections and fallen behind him, then he was going
yeah,
to win the championship. So it was like,
yeah, yeah.
oh, I mean, my nerves were shot. I don't know what yours were like, but yeah, no, brilliant. I mean, it
Thank you.
thoroughly well deserved. I mean, it was a great final couple of days for the championship. I mean, for somebody from the outside, obviously probably not for you, but for
Yes.
for uh, for the neutral sort of spectator looking at it, obviously I like to see all the British riders doing well, but then brilliant
Yeah.
that you were able to get it over the line. Right, we'll take a
Yeah.
quick break there. Right, so we've just had a fairly comprehensive rundown of the Trial 2 World Championship from Billy. So, obviously, then off the back of that, that's got you your X Trial debut in Madrid, uh,
Andorra.
Andorra. Sorry, yeah, it was Andorra. Um, how was that? I mean, we talked about that actually on the channel with Matt and Hugo, and
Yeah.
we think it's incredibly unfair that the least experienced rider gets put out first.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah. There is that. I mean, I had only ever done one indoor event previous to that, which was at the start of 2020 in Germany. Which that level of section in Andorra was nowhere near what I rode in Germany. It's the level of those top boys now is incredible. Um, you look at the Instagram videos and what have you, and you think that's impressive. But when you actually get there on your bike and you're trying to ride it, it's like, yeah, that is big. That is high up. You like I say, I went down to Spain on the Tuesday before, picked up two new bikes, and did a bit of practice out there because they've got some good man-made spots and sort of what I thought would be good indoor practice. And I yeah, been practicing and thought, yeah, yes, I got somewhere near where I think we're not going to be too far off. And then we got there, and you're actually climbing up on the sections, and you're like, yeah, I'm 10 foot up in the area. It's just a bike's length long. It's only 2 or 3 foot wide. It's like there's not much room for error up on this. So yeah, they're like Bo, Marcelli, and Buster. Those like top three. They're something else. But I mean, anyone who goes and does any of those X trials or an indoor trial in general, will know how big the sections are, and yeah, it's a totally different style of riding, pretty much.
yeah, yeah, um, yeah. I mean, for I mean, when I look at the sections, I'm thinking, yeah, that's. But when I hear somebody like yourself, who is a pretty damn good rider, saying saying the same thing,
Yeah,
um, yeah, it just puts it all into perspective. As you say, you watch what they're
definitely.
doing on Instagram and everything else, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't think there was much that could have really prepared me for it, to be honest. 'Cause like I say, things are just so high up, they're so big. It's and I don't really practice any indoor style sections or anything because you've got to be so precise. There's no room for error. When you're doing more natural sections, you've got a bit of room for error. But on that indoor stuff, it's another level.
And do you think if you hadn't have gone out first, do you think if you'd seen maybe two or three riders through the section, do you think that would have helped?
A little bit, yes, but on some of those sections, no. It just some of the bigger moves, the bigger steps, bigger double steps, and how it all rides. I just was simply not used to because I've never ridden anything that big. And like when I practice in the week, it's just me riding on my own because I can't afford to pay for a full-time minder. So obviously, I'm not going to practice ridiculously big stuff because I'd end up
No.
killing myself, and
Yeah.
I'd go through that many parts that I'd be forever fixing my bike. So um, it's that big stuff where they're on the limit. It's
It's a different
pretty
ballgame.
mad, definitely.
Yeah. No, well, fair play. I mean, you earned your spot there, and you gave it a damn good try.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
yeah, well done. So then moving on to next season, what's your plans, or have you anything in place at the moment, or
So no, not actually. As of the moment, still not got anything confirmed for next year. Still not 100% sure what I'll actually be doing. Pretty sure I'll be still sticking on the same bike. The team's good. Nigel Burkett in the UK. I can't thank him enough. He's yeah. I didn't really have much to do with him. Obviously, before I rode a score, I didn't really know him. But now, I'm always speaking to him, advice. Whether it just be general life with the bike, anything in between. He's a mega part in what I do in helping the job go forward really. And then obviously our European side of the team, the race team, which is led by Albert Casanovas. They're mega as well. So like I say, it's a big team effort to keep the whole like job going around. Like I say, so I'm happy where I am, but obviously I've not actually signed anything for next year yet.
and what would you? I mean, Trial 2 world champion is. I mean, I'm guessing a move into Trial GP, is that something that you would consider, or
So, well, yeah, obviously the dream is to go to the GP class, and obviously you want to. Well, at this point, and I obviously want to go and win that championship, be the best in the world is basically where I've got to set my goals. But the problem basically is at the moment is just financial
yeah,
support because at the moment the world championship with what I do, um, just doing the world and the British championship, Scott trials, Scottish 6 days, it costs roughly I would say somewhere around £20,000. Might even be a bit more now because of good old inflation. But yeah, just the cost of entry fees, licenses, diesel, accommodation, minder, and that's just a minder at events. Because like I say, I don't pay a minder through the week. Is probably about £20,000. So then to step up to that GP class, I'd then have to be riding full time,
yeah,
which the winter previously, should I say, I've been working a part time job. So from uh, about this time last year till basically the World Championship started in April this year. I was working part time, labouring, which is obviously not bad training, but it's not anything like riding your bike. So obviously going forward to be in that GP class, you really got to be riding all the time, and you need to be riding with a minder, preferably obviously every day through the week. So
yeah.
it's a big financial commitment to then step up to that really. So like I say, financially, obviously, is a big step to that GP class. So
Yeah,
whereas
it's a big commitment. I mean, we've sort of seen that a bit with Toby, um, this year, trying to get some funding going to keep his
yeah, exactly.
season on track, and then of course, obviously the injury and everything else didn't really sort of go plan for him. But no, well, look, obviously we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
In whatever it is you choose to do, you never know. Maybe somebody watching this channel would like to maybe
Yeah, yeah. No, like I
throw a
say,
bit of
nothing's
finance
confirmed
your
for next
direction.
year. So anyone, if they any sponsors want to come on board, then it's more than appreciated.
Yeah, look, I'll put my contact details in the description of the video, and I'll forward anything on to Billy. Fingers crossed, if anything comes of it, crack on
Thank you very much.
then.
Thank you.
I don't know if I don't think I'm really influencing that many people, but you never know. You never know.
You
Um,
never know.
every little helps, as a well-known
Yeah,
supermarket
yeah,
says. Um, right, I think that's about it, really. I mean, that's been a really, I really enjoyed your rundown of the World Championship there, just to hear it sort of firsthand. The sort of
yeah,
the ups and downs and the highs and the lows and everything.
yeah,
I was with you every step of the way, albeit on my sofa.
yeah.
But yeah, no, congratulations, great season.
Thank you very much.
Um,
Thank you.
and again, thanks for taking the time to come on.
No,
So
thank you.
thanks again to Billy. If you haven't liked, subscribed, commented, whatever, do all that good stuff. And we will see you again in the next episode. Thanks again.